Yeah, on the flip side, we have the complete lack of precaution with the cleaning of the apartment. So, I mean, this could escalate to a point where anybody who shows any signs of any illness, and remember the CDC has imposed those quarantine measures where they can say any sign of respiratory illness, or indeed no sign whatsoever, that was in Obama's executive order, could be detained. So, I mean, David, this could get ridiculous where anybody who has a cold who is traveling through an airport gets snatched up, gets quarantined.
It's going to vary from location to location. Here in the United States, the CDC can make recommendations. They can tell people what they think should happen. But it's ultimately going to be the local authorities who actually take action. And so they can overreact or they can underreact. They can take the CDC at its word, or they can take it to another step, or they can panic about it. And, you know, quite frankly, if you lie to people, you're not doing anything to stop the panic, because sooner or later, and it will be sooner, your lie is going to be found out, and then you're going to lose people's trust. You won't be able to control them. And that's the real danger. To me, when Judge Jenkins brags about the fact that he hung out with them and then goes to a press conference and says, I'm still wearing the same shirt that I was with them for over an hour with. I mean, to me, that is reckless behavior. And when you do that, and then you subsequently have a nurse who is wearing full protective clothing that comes down with it, people in Dallas must be very concerned. And evidently, Judge Jenkins has not put himself into quarantine. That's the amazing thing. He would sign the quarantine order for these people, and then he would go hang out with them. I mean, do you see the contradiction there? I mean, none of this makes any sense unless you go back and you look at the context that this guy has been all about open borders. And back in July, he was given a place right across the table from Obama. When Obama came to Dallas, he was pushing bringing immigrant children into a neighborhood, going door to door, intimidating people about protesting if that were to happen. So I think it's purely political, but it is reckless behavior.
And speaking of open borders, we've got a story out here, CNS News reporting, Southcom commander warns of potential Ebola-driven mass migration from south of border. Of course, we've talked about the potential for Ebola tourism, people from West Africa seeking to enter the United States for treatment. Now, Marine Corps General John Kelly, commander of the U.S. Southern Command, predicted last week that the Ebola virus will not be contained in West Africa, and if it infected people, the people who flee those countries and spread the disease to Central and South America, it could cause, quote, mass migration into the United States of those seeking treatment. If it breaks out, it's literally Katie, bar the door, he said. So, David, I mean, is that a real threat of people gathering at the border trying to become Ebola tourists to get treatment in the United States?
Well, absolutely. I mean, whether they want to be Ebola tourist or they want to be Ebola terrorist, I mean, that is, either one of those things are a real problem. And I'm also concerned, Paul, about mandatory vaccines, some kind of mandatory treatment. We see another article today from Russia Today saying that they've got a vaccine that they're working on with 70 to 90% efficacy that they would send to victims in West Africa in 2 months. Well, in 2 months, if things don't change, you're going to have anywhere from 5 to 15% of the population, according to the CDC's projections, infected. It's doubling every couple of weeks there. You're looking at millions of people. Well, you're looking at anywhere from 500,000 to 1.5 million people is what their projections say. I'm seeing the same thing from the ZMapp virus, that the Gates Foundation is getting on board with that and saying, we're going to ramp up production, but it's going to be a few months before we can get there. They want this thing to, in my opinion, build. It's very interesting to me, the timing that we've got all of these solutions essentially nearly ready for the marketplace as this thing breaks out. That in of itself is suspicious, but I think one of the most suspicious things is that we see the people who are developing ZMapp virus, well, it's not even a vaccine, it's a drug of antibodies. Basically what they're doing is mimicking, in an artificial, genetically modified way, they're mimicking blood transfusions where people get antibodies from survivors. That's called convalescent serum. There's been experiments that show that that's effective. Everybody that has survived with the ZMapp drug has also received a blood transfusion. The one patient who received it and died in the West that we know of did not get a blood transfusion. That was a Spanish priest. There are 3 other people who got it. I don't know if they got blood transfusions or not in Liberia. 2 of them survived, 1 of them died. So they're trying to tell us that ZMapp is a miracle drug. Whether or not it works and whether or not blood transfusions work are beside the point, because what they're doing is mimicking this natural, inexpensive technique which is available today. There are thousands of people who have survived the Ebola outbreak in these countries, and if they wanted to cheaply set up a donor registry and check the blood, that's something they could do now and start to contain this thing rather than letting it build for months and then coming up with a vaccine that they can sell to people in the West because it gets out of control, or mandate to people. And that's what my concern is.
And I mean, it's really crazy here in the United States. Everywhere I go, like every grocery store, Western Union, everywhere, get your vaccine, get your vaccine. They could easily tie that into Ebola.
Oh, yeah.
If this spreads, and, you know, that's definitely a possibility going forward. We're going to be back on the Alex Jones Show after the break. We're going to be talking to Wayne Madsen in the next hour about ISIS, the Ukraine, and many more issues. Of course, NSA surveillance. We'll be back on the Alex Jones Show live. Stay tuned.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. Silverlungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
You've forgotten to monitor blockitpocket.com, haven't you? Oh, how quickly we forget. Blockit Pocket wants you to know that they never forget. You have a right to use wireless technology privately and safely. So go now and monitor blockitpocket.com's complete line of custom-designed and American-made products. Blockitpocket.com. Enhance your health and privacy in a wireless world. It's here, only at blockitpocket.com.
What good is a Big Berkey water filter?
We get that question a lot here at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And in a word, the answer is protection. Protection from water main breaks, E. coli contamination, environmental chemical spills, pesticide runoff, chlorine taste and smell, and all forms of fluoride. Plus, Big Berkey water filters are the original gravity water filter system and most trusted on the market for a reason. Tested by multiple independent NSF EPA certified labs, they are the gold standard in water purification. At only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. That means big savings. Big Berkey, the one that's powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. Get a Big Berkey today at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. GCN listeners receive 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Visit our website or call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
American gardeners and fellow patriots, make the right choice with your money, time, and your family food supply. Choose 100% pure heirloom seeds in the Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com. Why spend more? The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com is only $37.95 and includes 20 varieties of pure, hardy, easy-to-grow heirloom seeds. Yes, only $37.95. That's 70% less than our competitors. You could buy 3 Survival Seed Vaults for less than one of theirs. The Survival Seed Vault from MyPatriotSupply.com includes detailed planting and seed-saving instructions and ships same day. Plus, all orders over $49 ship free. MyPatriotSupply.com is American-owned by patriots like you, passionate about freedom and preparedness. Call now, 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Or discover more emergency preparedness items when you order at MyPatriotSupply.com. Choose the original. Choose the Survival Seed Vault at MyPatriotSupply.com.
We took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans, and we caught the bloody British in a town in New Orleans. We fired our guns and the British kept...
It's the Alex Jones Show live. I'm Paul Joseph Watson, sitting in for Alex today. And we're talking Ebola. Liberals last week said it was racist to use the term Obola. Of course, that became a big meme, a hashtag on Twitter. So now Infowars.com is running the Obola contest. Tyranny is the disease, and basically we're inviting people to shoot video of themselves posting the Obola posters in legal and lawful areas. We have our own Obola poster on Infowars.com, or you can make your own. There you see Obola contest, tyranny is the disease. So we got a first place prize of $5,000, second place $2,000, third place $500. October 24th is the deadline to submit your entry, and Alex will announce the winners on the Alex Jones Show on Halloween, October 31st. So basically, this is a campaign to stress to the federal government, close the open borders, halt the flights from the Ebola-hit countries. It's the Obola contest, the racist Obola contest, according to some on the left. Merely using that term is racist. Of course, that's merely trying to impose their thought crime again. Secure the border, join the Obola contest, and again, shoot video of yourself. It's important not to just post pictures of yourself placing these flyers in public areas. It has to be video, so be sure to get on board with the Infowars.com Obola contest. David Knight, last few minutes here, you had a couple of stories about medical marijuana.
Yeah, there's an interesting story out of Italy that they made medical marijuana legal in Italy, and then they noticed that it was very expensive. It was 10 times the street price. So what they've done there is to call in the army. So they're using the army to grow medical marijuana. I think that's an interesting contrast to the way we use our military in Afghanistan to create a heroin epidemic in the United States and elsewhere. We've seen the supply of opium go from about 10% under the Taliban to 90% of the world's supply under the U.S. Army. And we've seen Geraldo Rivera and others point out that they have the U.S. military assisting the growing of opium. So it's interesting to see that. But again, what we were talking about before, how they would take a natural treatment and they would withhold that or say that it's not clear that there's really any efficacy of that. The World Health Organization has looked at convalescent serum, has looked at blood transfusion from people who've survived Ebola, transferring their antibodies, and said, well, that's something we need to look at. It has a long history. As a matter of fact, back in the 19th century, you had someone win a Nobel Prize in science for using that to help with diphtheria. This is something they know works. It's basically the fundamental principle of vaccines, except that this doesn't have the additives. This is just the antibodies themselves. This isn't injecting somebody with a disease, live or dead. It's simply transferring the antibodies. And the people who have been there are very keen to get it. You see, Kent Brantley he got a blood transfusion and survived. He gave a blood transfusion now to 2 people. The NBC cameraman who came back has received one from him, as well as another doctor in Nebraska. And so they put a lot of store in this, and all we see is that the World Health Organization will say, well, it's something we should take a look at, but we really haven't done any studies. Well, don't hold your breath. They said that a couple of months ago, and then they complained about how there's a black market. You might get blood-borne diseases. You can screen for those diseases very easily. You can set up a registry. That would be something that they could do very cheaply. But just like the case of medical marijuana, where they would prohibit it for people and say, you can take a Marinol pill, which is a part of that. A lot of people say it's not very effective. A lot of people say that it's not safe. You can have that, but you can't have the natural stuff that pharmaceutical companies don't control.
Of course, in places like California, you've got private mercenaries destroying pot plants, even though they're completely legal. So it's just amazing how the oppression is coming down on this medical marijuana. NSA whistleblower Wayne Madsen coming up after the break. Stay tuned, Infowars.com.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.